There are 5 ways for you to, there are 5 different ways for you to invest in self-storage. Right, we're going to go over those right now. The 5 ways. So we'll go over those. We'll go over those all as I'm teaching. Okay. So the first one is mismanaged properties. Mismanaged properties. So all of you rehabbers out there and wholesalers, all right, you already know, like you just go buy dumpy storage facilities, right? And now when I say a mismanaged facility, I mean one that's like 25 to 50% full. It's not being managed properly. Okay. And so you're going to what's called value add that property. Okay, so you're going to take it from like being 25 to 50% full to getting it to 90% full. Okay, and so that's number one. Number two is income producing properties. Income producing. This is cash flowing properties. These are properties that are running great. They're probably like 75% full or fuller. You know, a lot of them are like 90%, 100% full. And what's going to be awesome about these is that you can get a P&L and a balance sheet, and you can get tax returns, and then you can take that information to a local bank or to get an SBA loan, and you can borrow that money at like super low interest rates. Okay, whereas a mismanaged facility, right? Nobody going to lend you money on that. No bank is going to lend you money. So you're going to have to go to a private lender or like a hard money lender or something like that and borrow from somebody that you know or partner or something like that, because these do not have P&L and balance sheets or anything like this. In fact, they're mostly like I have a student right now. He's buying a $1.6 million facility, 1.6 million, and it was a cash only business. Cash only. That's it. Can you imagine a $1.6 million company that was cash only? All right. So his tax return is like, he said, you know, he's buying that facility based off the owner's tax return. And the tax return doesn't show a lot of income. Right. So what the owner's saying is that essentially it's worth way more than $1.6 million, except for he just can't prove that. So our goal as a storage facility owner is to not be that owner. Okay, your goal is to not be the storage facility that I want to buy in the next couple of years, right? So we are going to run our businesses properly. Gone are the days where you take credit, where you take check and cash. In fact, our storage facilities are completely contactless, completely virtual, and we've been that way since the very beginning. So, you know, we were like way ahead of our time before COVID came. Okay. There is no reason for you to have to meet your tenants. You can do everything online or by the phone now and set it up and automate it that way. Okay. But this owner of this, it's almost 300 unit facility, got up every day, drove to his storage facility, which was right around the corner, and worked his business 7 days a week. And he had notepads where he was keeping track of everything. He had no online software at all, nothing. And in fact, he only took cash, and then he said he pocketed most of that money. That would be a mismanaged facility. Okay, that would be a mismanaged facility. In fact, we ran numbers on that, and the opportunity value of that facility is like $3.2 million, and he's getting it for $1.6 million. Okay. All right. Income producing is like, you know, when you meet somebody that is an income producing property and they have their P&L and their balance sheet, guess what? They want to show that to you. They're like, oh yeah, I want to get the highest amount, the value I possibly can get. Okay. So they're going to pull out their tax return. They're going to pull out their P&L. They're going to pull out their balance sheet because they want to show you and they want to get the most amount of value. And they want the bank to appraise that at the highest value. Okay. So a lot of times with income producing properties, it's different from a mismanaged property. Mismanaged property is really based on opportunity cost and value add. Okay. So, and essentially like all the properties that we buy all mismanaged facilities. And our goal is within like the next 3 to 5 years to double that value, right? That's our goal. And that's kind of what we look at. All right. An income producing property, most of the time, you're going to be basing your numbers off of the income that's already coming in, right? And it's a business that you're buying. And then sometimes there's some value add, like maybe you can raise the rates or you can build on and add more units. There's more land that you can add and add the value on. But when you run your numbers, you're basing it on that as is cost, right? So this would be as is, and this is value add or opportunity cost. That's the difference between both of those, okay? And then you also have new construction. Number 3, new construction. There is not enough storage facilities in the world. Now, maybe if you're living in these major metropolitan areas, they're oversaturated. So for instance, like Austin, Texas, like you don't want to be building in Austin, Texas. There's way too much. All these metro areas, they're all like those are, you don't need to be focusing on that anyways. You want to focus on secondary and tertiary markets. Okay, secondary and tertiary markets. So the way that the market looks in the storage facility world is you have your primary market, your secondary market, and your tertiary markets. Okay, so this is primary. And your cap rate for a primary market is going to be between 5 and 7%. Okay. Now, this is nothing like this is commercial real estate, but actually storage facilities are considered warehouses. Okay. So this is not like, you know, like how many doors do you got? This is not like multifamily. Multifamily is calculated completely different than storage facilities. All right, so storage facilities are considered warehouses. All right, and commercials like kind of a weird way of looking at commercials. You've got like retail commercial, you've got multifamily commercial, and then you've got like warehouse commercial, right? Or industrial. It's like industrial commercial, kind of. It's kind of how you look at it, and they're all they're calculated in the same respect, and then but like they're different as well too. Okay, just so you know, just give an idea. So in the markets, you have 5 to 7% cap rate in the primary market. This is self-storage, remember. In your secondary markets, you got an 8 to 9% cap rate. Okay, this is cap rate. Yeah, my handwriting is horrible. Sorry, y'all. Okay, and the third market is the tertiary markets, and this is like a 10+ cap. Okay, now cap rate, all it is risk level. Risk level. You don't want any risk. You go into a 5 to 7% cap rate, and you know you're going to make money, right? Might not be a lot of value add, but you're going to make that monthly income every single month. But it just costs more. It costs more money here. And then the secondary market. So, and this would be like, for instance, I live in Atlanta, I live in the North Georgia mountains, but I live like the Atlanta area. And Atlanta would be considered a primary market, right? Inside the perimeter of Atlanta would be like the primary market. Outside of the perimeter of Atlanta would be a secondary market, but maybe a primary market. Maybe, because competition is starting to grow, right? So that might be, that primary market might be bigger in the Atlanta area. And it really depends on which city you're talking about, whether or not you're in a primary, secondary, or tertiary market. Okay, so primary, and then we have secondary, and then tertiary is like out in the country. All right, secondary would be like the burbs, right? The burbs. Okay, so if I'm talking about a smaller city, like I'm talking about like Augusta, Georgia. Augusta, it's like 75. I think it's like 7. How many? I don't know what the population of Augusta is. I'm guessing it's like 75,000. Okay. Maybe it's more, who knows? But essentially that primary market of Augusta is a smaller primary market versus Atlanta. But there is a primary market, okay? And because it's a big city, so obviously there's a primary market. Okay. And then the secondary market would be like the burbs of Augusta, which is probably way bigger than that primary market. Okay. And then the tertiary market is like, all the country around or in the middle and between the next city is the tertiary market. Right. And so you want to think about your area and where you live. Right? Or do you live, put it in the chat. Do you live in a primary market, a secondary market, or a tertiary markets? Can you put that into the chat for me? And let me know, what you guys are into. We've got a lot of primary markets. We've got secondary, or if you guys like, I have no idea, then you can put that as well too. Yeah, so San Diego, definitely a primary market. California is going to be like, if you want to get into self-storage investing, you got to have some money. All right. So like I have students that live in California, and they do not invest in California. Okay. They invest in like outside of California. Okay. So, just California expensive. That's just how it is. Right. So all the Northeast up there, like I have a student in Baltimore, Maryland, that just bought a storage facility in the Five Fingers of New York, and like one of those little Five Fingers areas. Right. So a couple hours, up that way, not too far. The good thing with storage facilities is that you could really be anywhere in the United States or world and run your storage facilities. And this is something that I prove to my students all the time, because my husband and I, we travel at least 6 to 8 months out of the year. Last year, we traveled 8 months. We did 4 months, a road trip, 4 months. And we did 16 national parks in 16 weeks. And then we went to Tampa for a month. And then we went to Maine for 2 months. All right. So when you start getting into owning these facilities, your job is to make sure that you make that completely passive. Don't become the storage facility owner that I want to buy in the next couple of years. Create actual passive wealth, right? Everybody says, I want passive income. I want passive wealth. Well, it's not passive if you're going to get up every single morning and drive to it and work there every single day. So passive wealth means like automate, systematize, and make it contactless and electronic, and be able to manage it from wherever in the world. Okay. And once you join REI USA and become a member of REI USA, you're going to come to this meeting every single month. And then as we go through, you'll start learning more and more and more about self-storage investing, right? You'll be able to learn, we'll dig deeper into how to analyze the deals, how to look, how to find them, how to fund them, all this kind of stuff, right? So that's kind of how REI USA works. So you show up every single month, and I'll be able to teach you a little bit more and more and more every single month, okay? But we got a lot of secondary markets, not a lot of tertiary markets, right? I focus mostly on tertiary markets and a little bit on secondary markets. And the reason why is because I buy mismanaged facilities with private money. Okay. So when I go and I ask somebody for money, like, do you have any money that I could borrow? Most of the time, people only have a couple $100,000, right? So they're not like, they don't have like $1 million. And in fact, they don't want to, like, I don't know you. I'm not going to give you $1 million. I'm not going to give you my first time I ever loaned you. I'm not going to just hand over, $800,000 or whatever, right? Even though they do have it, because I started out with many private lenders that said, yes, I'll give you $300,000. And now we have like, $2 million together and in different facilities. Okay. But private lenders, essentially, they only want to give you so much money. So I have $300,000, and I say, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a facility for $300,000. Well, guess what? Guess where you find facilities for $300,000? It's not in a secondary market, and it's definitely not in a primary market. Most of the time, it's in a tertiary market. Okay, so you're going to have to be out in the country, out in these towns.